Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Weed News. I am your host, Mike Cannon. We're recording on a Monday morning after a devastating New York Giants football loss, so I am hungover as shit, and I might potentially just all over the camera. All right, let's get started. According to several blogs that I visit in between fantasy football and checking out on the latest celeb nip slips, doctors are claiming that marijuana might protect you from Ebola. I'm gonna go ahead and plant my flag in the sand and say this is not the case. In fact, weed might actually make you think you have Ebola. I just don't want any Weed News viewers, yes, all 14 of you, hopping the next flight to Africa with a suitcase full of joints saying, well, Mike said I'll just be fine. Just walking through towns with open wounds, just like, what, this vaporizer is basically organic armor. That's all Dustin Hoffman had to do in that movie in the 90s where somebody fucked a monkey. Let me clearly say this, weed will not protect you from Ebola. That's like saying if you're drunk, you can't catch AIDS. Trust me, that's not the case. But Ebola is an overblown media sensation. I will say this though, this is the only time I've ever scaled back on the blunts, because if you go to a doctor right now with any type of respiratory issue, they are quarantining the shit out of you. Stay vaping, stay eating. I wouldn't do any heavy lung movement until after this thing blows over. In Iowa, police are now profiling Frisbee golfers for pot possession. I can't think of a whiter version of stop and frisk. Excuse me, you there, with the puka shell necklace and the tie-dyed shirt and the huge smile on your face. Empty your pockets. I don't know why every police officer in Iowa suddenly sounds like they're from Brooklyn. Probably my lack of range and ability as an actor. The perk of this kind of treatment, though, is that once one of these Iowa kids actually meets a black person, they'll now have a conversation starter. Hey, I know what you're up to, man. People are all over me because I'm a Jew with dreadlocks. I get your pain, bro. My accent game today is on 100. I kind of feel bad for the cops in this situation because they're gonna have to pat down these crackers all the way down to their soggy socks just to find a crumb nugget. And if we're working purely on stereotypes, these people don't bathe particularly often. It's that time again, my favorite segment of the week, Toker Tech. I want robot arms coming out of my nipples and bringing 2 joints to my mouth. Right? How tech and toke is that? This week, I'm gonna review clear rolling papers. I have no idea what company makes these things, but I'm gonna make a stand right now and say no company should make these things. They're absolutely horrific. Listen, it's kind of like fucking a clear fleshlight. Some images should remain unseen. Like seriously, would you want me to have a clear body so you can watch me digest food and then shotgun diarrhea against a wall? I don't think so. Plus, I'm sure it's super healthy for you, but it feels like you're smoking saran wrap. This is something you would roll to impress a high school girl. Look, right, it's all fancy and you can see the buds inside and let me touch your tit. That was me in high school, not now. Now it would be against the rules for me to do that to a high school girl. I'm talking about Mike back in the day and how he would get girls. I didn't even smoke pot in high school, but I definitely touched some tit. For the first time in the Weed News history, I'm gonna go and say I do not recommend clear rolling papers. They're horrible, they look like shit, you could see the tar gather at the bottom. It's just like, ugh, is that what my lungs look like? And now I have to consider my own mortality? I'm out, I don't wanna do that. I wanna blindly smoke, potentially injure my insides, and just figure out this goddamn universe. And now it's that time again, time for our video of the week. Sorry about that, but I get jazzed up thinking about music. 14 years after releasing the original, Afro Man came out with a remix of his one hit, pun intended, Because I Got High. Let's take a little bit of a look.
I used to smoke cigarettes, but then I got high. Get tired and call it quits, but then I got high. I'm playing basketball and jogging and
It's catchy, again, and I can appreciate the effort, but listen, you can't concrete solidify the worst parts of marijuana 14 years ago and then come out with now a positive version and be like, well, no, I was kidding about missing my job interview and eating too much and getting diabetes. Now it's for my health, and now I jog because I'm on pot. It's a delightful life change that I've now discovered. I'm not at all trying to re-spark interest, pun intended again, in my shit career that nobody has heard of in the last 14 years. Because I got high, I no longer make money. I'm sorry, Afro Man, that may have been a bit harsh. I honestly can't believe I'm calling an adult male Afro Man, but with that in mind, I'm sorry, you're doing God's work, and I appreciate you now joining the movement. Apparently, I'm the mayor of the weed movement, and it's my position to grant involvement. You're now allowed on the train, Afro. AM. I'll call you AM. That kind of, well, that didn't work out for the last guy named AM. Kind of a plane thing. Oh wait, he actually survived the plane thing. It was drugs that took him down, not weed. Crack. Was it Nicole Richie's crack? Not her drugs, but her gash. Let's stop. Guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of the Weed News. This has been a fun one. We're loving the views. We're loving the comments. Again, it's coming out every Thursday from now on, not Monday. I'll still repost on Monday for those of you who constantly forget, because I love you and I want to hug you and I want to feel the warmth of your body in a sleeping bag in a cold, wintry landscape. It was very specific, but I had the image really ingrained in my head. I have one viewer in particular in my mind that I can't stop thinking about, that you were the guy laying next to me. Heterosexual male, but this show brings out the gay in me. Especially if it's gonna be cold. I need some hair and warmth. Insulation. Some dick, too. Subscribe to my podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. We come out every single Wednesday, talk conspiracy, corruption, and clams. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Auf Wiedersehen.